It's time to get clear, get heard, and get paid. And join us on our Soul Business Retreat. Attract your dream clients and income over 3 nights as we shape your passion into a business that makes a profit. Follow our 13 steps to reach 5K in 30 days in the beautiful Byron Bay. Whether you're starting, growing, or expanding your business, our all-inclusive 3-night retreat is the place for you. Check out the details in the show notes, and we hope to see you soon.
Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine from Willow Healing, and today I have the beautiful Dr. Jennifer Shell with us. So she is a chiropractor with over 23 years experience who empowers women with holistic health and financial freedom through natural remedies and home businesses. She also specialises in clinical nutrition, and she has a wealth of things to share with us today. So welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me, Catherine.
So how did you get into your journey of becoming a chiropractor and then adding in the other elements that you've created now?
So gosh, back, it must be like 25 or 28 years ago, whatever, when I was getting ready to go to like graduate school. So after I graduated from Michigan State University, I was like, okay, I know that I want to do something with healthcare, but I know that the traditional healthcare system isn't for me. Like, it hadn't worked for me. So I was like, what else is there? I was not raised holistically. So my grandma was like, oh my gosh, you should call my chiropractor. And I was like, I don't even know what that is, but okay. So I called this lady, and she was so nice, and she's like, oh my gosh, I love going to work. I help people every day. I can make my own hours. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So not knowing what it was, I started shadowing different female chiropractors. And I realized, like, there's so many different ways to do things. Like, there isn't just like, oh, you're a mechanical engineer, you do this. Chiropractic, there's tons of techniques. You're familiar?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I have a chiropractor. My son's been seeing a chiropractor since he was like 1.5. So I fully understand that there's so many different things. And then we used to have fortunately he passed away, but we had a intuitive chiropractor. So he'd combine like sound healing and Reiki with the chiropractic moves and NET as well. So neuroemotional technique.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Can I tell you a story about NET?
Yes.
So I practiced that for probably like 5 years, and I don't know if this is a common thing, and I'm really not intuitive, but I was sitting with this lady, and I'm doing NET, kind of running through. All of a sudden, and this may be woo-woo for a lot of people, but like, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden I look at her, and I'm like, do you have a deceased brother named Ryan? And she was like, yes. And I'm like, I don't know why is he here with me?
Oh, you can go woo on this show, absolutely. So
Okay.
go for it. Go for the woo.
Okay. So that was like the most woo thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I am not grounded for this. Like, I don't know how to protect myself. So that was my journey. But anyways, so I shadowed different chiropractors, and I met this woman, and she did muscle testing, and I'd never seen it before. And she goes, oh my gosh, Jen, you totally should not eat dairy. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I'd had literally gut issues, Catherine, my whole life, since infancy.
Yeah.
And so she tells me this, and I'm like, I don't know what this voodoo is, but okay. So I stopped, and within 3 days, I was like 98% better, and I was like, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I am a voodoo practitioner. Now what?
It's so funny you say that, because my naturopath does NET as well. And for anyone who's not sure what NET is, it's neuroemotional technique. And what it does is it uses muscle testing. So your body stores energy in your body. And when you do the muscle testing, it will react kind of like a yes or a no if it's, it needs to be looked at or not looked at, or if it's congruent or not congruent. And it works on the meridian systems from Chinese medicine. So it's very cool because you can unpack emotions. But my first experience with it was I went in, and I'd already met him, I think, 2 times because we were really working hard to rebalance my minerals, and I was very magnesium deficient. And then he starts doing this NET on me, and he goes, "Okay, what happened when you were 5 years old with your dad around this emotion?" And I'm like, "How did you know?"
It's crazy. Like, it's really wild. So, like, if somebody is like open, definitely like check it out. And it's just wild stuff. And so, like, a lot of chiropractors are very, very physical based, like just the body and the structure. But a lot go into like all this other stuff. So it's been a wild ride. So
you became a voodoo chiro practitioner. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm like, wait, did I even answer the question? Yeah. So when I started doing chiropractic, well, that wasn't it. Like, I was like, oh, yes, like, I am all in. So during chiropractic school, like, it's your doctorate. So while I was doing that, I did an extra 100-hour course, like, on applied kinesiology, which is muscle testing. And then from there, for about 15 years, probably, I've been doing something called nutrition response testing. And that's using muscle testing, and you're just working with the energy reflexes of the body. And you do specific supplement protocols, but it's like a revolving thing. Because as one layer comes up, we work on that, peel it off, we're done with that, and then we just keep peeling till we hit homeostasis.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That is amazing, especially because, there's the complexity of foods that we eat. It's like stripping down the layers and trying to figure out, well, actually, is that what's triggering me, or was it the thing I ate before that and the interaction between the two, or is it just that individual thing?
Oh, yeah. And just even thinking about like how processed our food is, and all the chemicals and the glyphosate and all this stuff, like, it can wreak havoc in our bodies.
It's so funny too that you bring up the glyphosates because, so for example, we traveled in Europe, and my husband and we were in Italy, eating all the amazing homemade pastas and everything.
Fine.
Correct. Because they actually banned any GMO and glyphosate crops. They're actually not allowed to use them in Italy.
Yes.
And even if, you go to restaurants here in Australia, if they use the Italian flour that they import in, it's different, and the food sits on you differently. And it was an amazing thing because we're like, how could we eat all this pasta and pizza and still feel like light and, still have this energy? And then you come back here, and then it was our cleaner said to us, oh, I can't eat bread normally, but I can eat organic bread. And that kind of planted the seed for us to go,
there's something. So, okay, so in Australia, I just assumed that the United States was just the only horrible food place.
No, we're just as bad.
Yes, it's well, and it was funny. I took my son just a couple of days ago. There's this awesome Asian market that opened up, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so great. The stuff that was in those packaged, like all the gross stuff, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, it's infiltrated everyone. It has. You're right. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I just saw it this weekend. I'm like, what? Why is there all this crap in there?
Yeah, and I guess that's where you consciously make that decision of, I'm going to choose to grow my own food, or try and get organic as much as you can, because
or, like you said, being aware of what your body can cope with and what can't cope with. But a lot of people don't realize the impact of seed oils and sugar. And, as you start to unpack it more, and sugar is in everything, like, and
Sugar
yeah,
is so bad. There, think kids, don't quote me, but there's think for one sugar molecule to be broken down, it's like 58 molecules of magnesium are needed. And we're eating like 100 years ago, maybe you get like 10 or 20 grams a day, like whatever, making that up. But now it's like 150 just in a Starbucks caramel macchi, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
Whatever it's called.
Exactly. And we became really aware of it because my son doesn't metabolize sugar very well. So, and he got really angry on it. Like he became really violent and
Yes.
was like lashing out. And we're like, what is this? And it was
Yes.
really triggered around Easter because we still bought like the better chocolates, like the really nice, with no additives
Yes.
and things, but obviously still had sugar. And he went mental. And I was having that chat again with my naturopath, and he said, it's the sugar. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is. Like as soon as he said it, but it was like he just needed someone one step removed to put it together, because when you're in the trauma of your child having a meltdown, any mum would understand, you just, yeah, you can't see it.
And
Yeah.
just thinking, like, Catherine, thank goodness you regulate sugar. But most families, and this isn't like a knock on anyone because no one's taught this, but like most families do not regulate sugar. So they've got these kids with ADHD and impulsive behavior and anger issues. How much of that truly is just diet? Food dyes, sugar.
Yeah,
Right?
and he doesn't miss out. And it was so funny because he was about 3, I think, when we figured it out, and we just started swapping everything, right? So instead of having a chocolate, we just used carob bears and things like that because they didn't have anything in them. And then, if we were cooking, we swapped it out for honey or maple syrup, or just like these simple swaps, and everything tasted the same. But we'd go to parties when he was a bit older, and everyone's like, he's not eating the lollies. And we're like, no, because we actually just sat down and explained to him, when you eat this food, this happens to your body. And how do you feel when that happens? And he was 3, mind you. And he goes, I don't like it. Okay, great. Well, don't have things with sugar. And still to this day, he'll go, can I have that? Does it have sugar in it? And if people say yes, he'll normally say no. But he can tolerate it more now. But again, he knows to limit it and not to have too much. So it's just that education, and it doesn't require, it doesn't require a lot of words. It's like, how do you feel when you have that food? And I think that's important for us as adults too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, what you're saying is exactly like what I talk to my patients about in my own voice. Like, stop and think about how you feel when you put that, whatever it is, in your body. Like, people don't connect how they feel to what they're eating, and that's the major disconnect. So, the fact that you taught your son, and the key is you're not saying, no, don't eat that. You're saying, hey, reflect inward and look, how do you feel when you eat that? And when he goes, crappy, okay, you're not making the decision for him. He knows, which
Exactly.
is huge.
Yeah, and you're giving the power back. And if anyone's had, a child, especially young children, they test boundaries and they push back. And the more you say no, the more they're going to push back on you. But if you can teach them to regulate, even with emotions, right? It's hand in hand. Like, but how food makes them feel, that's really powerful in itself.
Yeah, I just so agree.
Yeah.
Totally.
So you've got so you've got your chiro, you've got your voodoo NET, then you've got your nutrition level on top, and then you got into oils. How did you get into oils?
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so with with essential oils for like 19 years, what I didn't know there was a difference in them.
Yeah.
So like patients would ask me like, is this brand okay? Can I do this? And I'd be like, yeah, it's fine. And then when the pandemic shut everything down, I'm like at home and I do this deep dive on YouTube for like hours where I'm like, oh my God, the industry's corrupt. There is no regulation. There's, farmers all over
Oh
the
my gosh,
world.
they're watered down and they put nasty oils in it. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Synthetic chemicals and all this stuff. So it was like, oh my gosh, like all these years, here I am telling people, like, try to eat organic. I only sell supplements, so you have to have a license to distribute because I know their purity and like the testing standards. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I searched and searched and searched because tons of companies say they're pure. But if you don't show me the numbers, you're not transparent with the data, then I can't trust that. So I found a company for me that I was like, oh my gosh, this is everything I could have ever dreamed about. So I first corrected and started teaching classes because, the whole world shut down. And I'm like, how can I empower people so they don't feel helpless? And we're using like therapeutic grade, like medical grade oils that they can use in their home for all these common ailments to keep them out of like the medical system.
Yeah.
So anyways, I started doing that, and I wound up like building this like really nice secondary income stream. So now I'm like, I need to tell people, like, I didn't know that there was anything different. I didn't know that I could just like do something and make residual income versus trading dollars for hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's almost like that switch in mindset, because it's something that, we came into a bit of abundance of money, and instead of letting it go, or, if you leave it in the bank, it doesn't do anything. The bank doesn't care, right? And, we're like, how do we invest it to make it grow so that we get returns back? Because it's so important. We've been conditioned to believe that you got to work for your money. It's like, no, let your money work for you. Call up that money and say, this person I listened to, her name's Tracy L. Clark. She says, call up your money and call up every dollar and tell them to go out and bring back 10 friends.
Yes, exactly. Like, people like real estate and Airbnbs and like all this stuff. What did you wind up doing? How did you invest it?
We're currently in a transition state at the moment. Probably by the time this thing goes in the air, we'll do it. But we're going to look at getting a tiny home and then renting it out. And then also, like, we looked at gold and silver and we just diversely did it. But then also looking at building memberships so that people, come into my space and I don't necessarily have to be there with them all the time, but they'll always have that kind of support and have all the courses and things that I can offer and do to them. So, and it's funny because we have looked at oils, but it never quite took off at the time. And it's funny, it's just where the universe is just pulling us. So what oils did you end up using?
Okay, so personally I use doTERRA.
Yeah.
Because have you heard of them?
Yeah, I'm doTERRA and I used to get a lot of Young Living. So, yeah.
I did too. Okay, I use too also, and I don't mean to offend anyone or make them mad, but when somebody tells me they're pure but doesn't show me the testing, that's the issue. So with doTERRA, there's a website that's called source2u.com, and every bottle on the bottom has a batch number.
Yep.
So you can literally go enter it in. So when you enter it, it'll pull up the 54 different tests that they run. So you can literally see it for purity and potency. But then the kicker is it's got to be third-party verified. Because I don't want a company just telling me, oh, yeah, here's our test. No, I need a third party.
Yeah.
So
that makes perfect sense. And I just feel to ask this, do you use muscle testing to figure out which oil a person might need?
Sometimes. So with patients, I will do that, but like I do, like for instance, like when I'm working with kids with like autism, I'll set the oils out and let them kind of smell them. And they always go for the oils that they need. Like if they're drawn to an oil, then you can make like a roller. They like this
Yeah.
one, this one, this one.
Yeah.
Same thing with horses. You
Yeah.
can put, and this is again where it's super important that they're pure because you don't want to do anything contaminated. But like you can put digestive drops in a big bucket of water, and you can do like oils for like immunity or infection.
Yep.
Put it in, and the horse will go to whatever it needs.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
It
So
is.
yeah, I do, but not always, because I want people to feel empowered. Like they don't need to do this. I'm teaching women to start their own businesses, right? I have to muscle test to do that.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, it's so funny because my sister used to suffer from migraines quite badly. And I was like, oh, you need peppermint and lavender oil, right? And she's like, what do you mean? And they didn't completely take it away, but they took it down to a point like where it was actually manageable again, because she used to get the blackout migraines and that sort of thing. And she swore, she's like, it definitely helps. She still uses it. But peppermint and lavender are so used in our house on so many levels. We use peppermint for like if bugs come in, we'll put peppermint around. We use it in cleaners. And then if you've got a stomach ache, peppermint's really nice as well. And then you've got lavender, which is just like, okay, if you're a mum, you need to get lavender in your life, because especially if you've got boys and they're constantly bruising up, you put the lavender on and it actually helps the bruise come out quickly and heal even faster. And I have seen it in my own eyes happen, because my son, when he was about, I think it was about nearly one, where they start to learn to sit and they can't help keep themselves up as long. Anyway, and the cleaners had been, and I was like, intuitively, I've had the coffee table looks a bit closer than normal to his playmat. And sure enough, he fell down and he cracked his head on the corner of the coffee table. This massive egg came up. All I did was get ice, and I took a photo of it and sent it to my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh. So all I did was get ice and lavender oil, put the lavender oil on, iced it, put the lavender oil and iced it. By the time my husband got home from work, you couldn't even tell the lump was there. Like it was, like for me, I was like, I'm sold.
Right?
Yeah.
No, exactly. Like these are the things where like if I can help a family understand basic stuff like that, or like lavender. I had this lady, she adopted this little baby. She was in her late 50s. This baby was in the foster care system. They were like, please, 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 whatever. She winds up adopting this baby. She's like, Dr. Shell, I am exhausted. I'm so tired. This baby won't sleep. And I was
Trauma. Yeah.
just put lavender on the bottom of his feet, like right at bedtime. She came back, hugged me, and was crying. Was like, oh my gosh, I finally got a good night's sleep.
I know.
Like it hurts.
I understand. That is
Right?
actually why we started our journey with chiro, because my son, I used to actually have it when I was younger, but when my son was a terrible sleeper. And then, again, my naturopath, gosh, he's scented today, but he said, maybe you should try chiro. And I'm like, thank you. I was just very thankful at that point. And then we found our chiro, and within a few, I think 2 or 3 sessions, he was actually falling asleep, because that was part of the problem. He wouldn't get to sleep. And then slowly his sleep got longer and longer and longer and longer. And then I was like, I can function. If you get up once a night, I'm more than happy with that. As a parent, it's like, you're like, I can do once a night. I can't do 10.
Once a night is like a miracle.
I
This is
know.
great.
I know. You're like, yes.
Oh, I love that story. That's like truly like amazing, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's, and you're finding the right chiro, like you said, every chiro has a different style. And just because you've tried one doesn't mean you've tried them all. And I think that's
Exactly.
with any profession, it's how you feel with that person and how, what their energy's like, and then the interaction that's happening in the middle there.
Yeah, I so agree. Like, there's so many different ways to adjust. There's so many things that they offer. Like, you really want to like ask around get in your mom groups, ask like who's going to who, and find out, because even within the practice I'm at, there's 4 of us, and we're all really quite different.
Exactly. You have your unique chiropractic skills. And I often say, like, even when I was teaching, so my background's allied health, and when I was teaching students, I would say to them, go to the courses, learn what they're sharing, and then put it in your toolbox, because then you're going to shape it to fit the client. Then you're going to shape it to fix, not to fix, but for what works for that particular person, because the go-to might not always work, or like what you normally pull out. And it's by having, expanding your knowledge in that way, where you think, oh, even if you go to something and you spend 2 days and you get one thing, I think it's worth it. Even like, it'd be nice if it was 1 day and you got one thing, but as long as you come away with something that you feel you can use at some point in your life, then, why not? Why not go explore? And, I used to go to different disciplines as well. So my background's speech language pathologist, right? But I would go to nutrition things to learn about nutrition, because I had a lot of kids with autism spectrum disorder. And then I would go to occupational therapy sessions and go learn about that. And not so that I could do that, but so I could get an understanding. So if I could see a client needed that, then I could guide them, hey, maybe this is what you need to look into, and I feel that that's how your practice has developed. That's what I kind of see. It's just like, yeah, I went and saw these different chiros, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that voodoo magic works with NET. And then, oh, hang on, there's another level with nutrition. Oh no, there's another level with oils. And then you just develop into this whole thing, and you look back at where you started and where you are now, and you're like, how? How did that happen?
How did I get there?
Yeah.
No, you're totally right. But it's funny because your background is speech pathology. So like 25 years ago, while I was in chiropractic school, I started getting like my speech, like I was struggling, like my chest would feel tight. And then after school, I go to like a ear, nose, and throat doctor. He scopes me. I thought just that like I had polyps, and he goes, "Oh, you have spasmodic dysphonia. You're never gonna get better. You're probably gonna get worse, and there's nothing you can do for it except Botox shots. Your vocal cords." And I was like, "What just happened? Like, what are you talking about?" So for like 15 years, like I tried literally everything, every alternative thing I could. And then finally, I did start getting Botox shots in my vocal cords, because it's the only way I can really comfortably talk. But the point being with all that is that for years and years and years, I wouldn't even use the phone. Like I would have a panic attack making a phone call. And then like over time, like, to grow as a person, like I just would push myself, and like doing a podcast.
I was going to say, and here you are doing a podcast interview. Yeah.
What's that?
And here you are doing a podcast interview. Exactly.
I am doing a podcast interview, and it took me realizing that like, okay, yeah, I have this. My voice doesn't sound like everybody else's. Whatever. That's part of me, and I've got important information to share. And it's not about me, it's about me serving others. And ever since I took that mindset, like of coming from a place of service, like I just do this because now it's fun. Yeah. Like I like to talk to people and like share information, and so
yeah,
anyways,
don't stay hidden away. Exactly. Yeah. And for anyone listening who doesn't know what spasmodic dysphonia is, basically your vocal cords should have a nice flow to it, and they just kind of come together when you're speaking. And yes. If we were on video, I could show you how it moves, because it's like this. I'm so used to explaining that. But with spasmodic dysphonia, the cords don't coordinate with each other, which makes it really hard to speak because too much air comes out, which can make your speech sound very broken. And the idea of the Botox is to just fatten up the vocal cords so that there's not as much, vulnerability, not as much variable of how it would come together. So, and it's just one of those things which I'm going to talk to you more about after this. And then you're like, yeah.
I'm like, yes, give it to me, share with me.
But and in the end, it was like, okay, do I keep putting off this thing because there's a fear with it, or do I get my power back where I can then communicate and share and serve? And I love that you reframed it that way and put it in that mindset, because when you come from a place of I want to serve and this is how I need to do it, then it does make it easier to make a choice like that. And it doesn't mean you stop searching, right? You're like, this is what I need to do right now. I'm going to keep looking. Yeah.
No, you're totally right. And I mean, for a long time, I was like, oh my gosh, but if I get Botox in my vocal cords, like that's going against everything I believe in, everything living naturally, not curing, don't say curing, fixing things, addressing things,
reducing
naturally.
The symptoms.
But you hit a point where you're like, you know what, this is my quality of life, and you do what you need to do. So that I don't put anything set in stone, right? Like you said, like we got to be able to kind of ebb and flow with this situation.
It's like, I liken it to if you broke your wrist, right? You're not going to sit there and put oils on it and hope that it heals. You still need to go.
No, don't do that.
You still need to go get it set and do what you need to do with that. But then you come back to your practices to help it heal quicker and to help it shift quicker and to help detox, whatever it might have been. Might be the radiation from the x-ray. It might have been the chemicals that you needed to put on you, whatever it might be. You come back to your practices there. And then more often than not, then when you go back, they're like, wow, that healed really quickly. It's like, I know, I practice what I preach. And there still has to be that synergy between alternative medicine, and sometimes we still need Western medicine to fix, it is fixing, because if you break a bone, or, you're in a car crash or whatever it might be, you still need to have that, surgery, whatever it might be. But at the same time, for me, like I broke a toe, and I know they can't do anything for a broken toe, but I knew it was broken. But I used comfrey and, because comfreys are really good. It's called the nip bone herb for anyone that's curious. You just can't take it for a long period of time, because after 2 weeks you go into liver detox. So don't do it if you got liver things or you're pregnant or anything like that. That's my caveat there. But for me, I was making it into a tea and I was drinking it, and I have like a light machine, so I was putting the light machine on my toe, and then I was putting oils around it as well, and lots of lavender to get the bruising out really quickly. And I think it was like a week or 2 weeks later, I was back at Pilates, and everyone's like, how did you do that? I was like, because I practice what I preach, and I was doing energy healing on it and things as well. It's just that supplement of things. I wasn't going to go run a marathon straight away. Well, not that I like running, but you know what I mean. You just be aware.
Well, you're exactly right. Like I was just reading this book. It was really good. It's called The Comfort Crisis. Okay. And at the end,
this has come up.
Literally was talking about how like somebody who is really healthy and takes care of themselves, if they're in a car accident, like it was some crazy number, like you have a 68% better survival rate just by being healthy before the car accident. Like the other, so it's just, yes, like we need to take care of our vessels, right? Because this is what we got, and we got to bring it around with us. So keep it healthy.
That's it. And even, from a spiritual perspective, you still need this body as a vehicle to do what you need to do.
That's what I'm saying.
That's it.
Yes.
So you
can't be in the physical universe without your body.
That's right. You need, that's right. You need to, you're here, your body and your avatar is here right now. You need to look after it and find ways to keep it healthy. And you don't even have to need a lot of money to start. Sun, clean water. I want to emphasize clean water, and purified water. No, even purify. I don't even know how to pull the water apart at the moment. We could be here all day talking about water, and trying to eat really cleanly, and exercising. Go for a walk. It's free. And be in nature.
You don't need to lift crazy. Like, it's not about CrossFit. I mean, no offense to the CrossFitters, but like, just walking. If somebody's inactive and you just start with 10-minute walk twice a day, maybe even split it up. I don't care, 5 minutes walking in place. Like, you start where you need to start. Right?
That's right. And you just pick. This is what my coach told me, and it's so true. But because I tell my coaching clients this too, but you pick one thing and focus on it for a week and commit to it. And then the next week you add another thing. And the next week you add another thing. And then before you know it,
yes.
And then before you know it, if you can get to that 21-day mark, it is a new habit. And then you're going to just do it automatically without even thinking about it. And if you can create that beautiful routine for yourself, you're honoring you, especially as a mum, right? You're honoring you, and you're creating time for yourself, and you're keeping yourself healthy because from working with a lot of mums, if you go down, what happens to the rest of the ship? Because often...
I would say that too.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's where, like, circling back, where having that income coming in that you don't even have to do anything for is so powerful, because you don't know when you're going to get unwell, or you don't know if there's tragedy going to happen. You don't know these things. And if your income doesn't rely on you being there, it's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, so also with that though, like for me personally, like, I'm not just like sitting back, like, I'm still, because I love to help people, so like I'm still
you do both.
My team at helping support people. But like, I know other people who built their business and they're at the age where, yes, like you said, like they want to kind of relax and enjoy things, and their team under them is like a moving wheel. Like, that's the goal, right?
Yeah, and I guess too, it's like, having that ability that, because I was in this state where I couldn't get sick, because if I didn't work, we didn't have any income coming in.
Yes.
Right?
So many people are in that same boat that are listening right now. Like, what happens if something happens, right?
And then you're just like, and it's like, no, I can't be sick. And it's like, and not that we want to get sick, but it's like, you can't let yourself rest if you need to rest, or you can't let your body reset if it needs to reset. And I guess that's where that culture comes in, that we have to start thinking about changing that at a different level, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just realizing that there are different ways, like you said, like, if you can invest some money into like a property and then rent it, like, that's passive. Or like even if you look at to collect, I can't remember, there was this cool video I watched, and it was like, okay, so in order to collect, say, $5,000 a month, whatever, you'd have to have like and I'm totally making this up, so nobody hold me to the numbers. Numbers are not my favorite thing. But like, you'd have to have like so many millions in the bank, collecting 5% to get whatever. So those numbers totally don't add up, but you guys feel me. So the whole point is, like, if I can do something where I'm generating that, anybody can do that, and you don't have to have the money in the bank. You can make that as you go, and it's not like having a brick and mortar. Like, that's hard.
Yeah,
right?
It's the flexibility and building the life. And it's about building the life that you want, because what someone else does might not be right for you.
Yeah.
And it's about coming back to trusting yourself in that moment. Yeah. As we finish up our time together, Jen, I asked my guests, if there was something you could heal or change in the world, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I think there's just a few things. First thing is to especially the moms out there, put the dads too, like, give yourself grace. Like, I think we are bombarded with so many things, like, just give yourself grace. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're just all doing the best that we can.
Agreed.
And if your kid eats processed food right now, don't beat yourself up. Just start making small changes. And I can't remember what else I would just I think I would leave it at that.
Yeah.
Give yourself some grace.
And definitely, and in compassion for yourself too, right? Grace and compassion. And, you know, you don't have to think it's overwhelming. Just pick one thing to start on and build from there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do people find you, Jen?
So I'm on Instagram and literally, so I'm doing this course with like a bunch of friends from my Tote Hair team, and I changed my Instagram handle, which maybe was stupid, but it's just Jen Shell _ DC.
Yep. Beautiful.
Yeah, it used to be Food to the Rescue because I had written a book. But now it's like, well, but no, I need to brand myself.
I understand. I've been going through the same thing, so I understand completely.
You're doing it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it. Oh, but it's okay. We'll pop your new Instagram in the show notes and we can make sure everyone can find you so that they can connect with you and, you know, possibly get advice as well if they want to start their own business, and then they can go from
Totally.
there. Yeah.
Just DM me. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jen. This has been a journey and I loved it. Very cool.
Thank you. Me too. Thanks so much, Catherine.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.